Hey, EduMatch fam, what is up? Super excited to be back with you all. It's been a while since we did one of these, but I am like super geeked to bring back to y'all. We have our good friend Brian here. So, Brian, welcome to the show for today. It's great to have you back. So, how have you been?
I mean, this is so awesome to be on the other side of this. We were just talking offline. I was one of the first people to be part of the EduMatch family way back in 2019. I'm so thankful to be back again. I'm good. Things are different a little bit for me since you last saw me. I'm finishing up year 7 as a K-5 principal out here in Southern New Jersey. And before that, I was a high school English teacher at my alma mater for 15 years. That's where this book takes place. And in between, I did some district work. So I'm on the back end of a career that I'll call fortunate. And anytime I get a chance to talk about my career, so I always joke, Sarah, I can't hammer a nail, I can't fix a flat tire. There's nothing else I can do in this world besides education. So I'm glad they let people like me hang out in the field for a while because that's pretty much all I can do. So I'm just thankful for my career and thankful for you and EduMatch.
We are thankful for you as well. So thank you for being part of our family and being such a dedicated member for such a long time. So we really appreciate you, and we appreciate all of the insight that you bring to the profession and just to all of us. So speaking of that, you have a brand new book that you are going to drop soon. So if you could please tell us a little bit about you. You told us a little bit, but if you wanted to dive in and share some more.
Yeah. So I was 14 and I wrote an essay for a high school English class about Isaiah Thomas, the Detroit Pistons point guard from the 90s. I was obsessed with Isaiah and the number 11. And then the department chair at the time came to our class, unaware and read it anonymously. And I was in the back beaming because I realized she was using my essay as an example of quality writing. So at 14 years old, I'm like, you know what? I want to be a teacher. I'm going to teach English. I'm going to coach, and my career is set. So it made my path pretty straightforward from there. Then I got a chance to teach at my alma mater for 15 years in the English department. I took over he's actually in the book, but took over for a guy who's my mentor, my hero. So that was just an amazing confluence of events, how that happened. And I got to be in the same classroom where I learned so much from him. And then I started writing this book. I mean, it's a new book, but I started writing it in 1999. So I know the people who are in it and the people who are kind of implicit to its success are in their 40s now, right? So I was a 23-year-old teacher. I didn't know what I was doing, like most of us at the time. And I made a terrible mistake and I just underplanned. So I needed to scramble and figure out something to do. So I created this public speaking activity, and that was the impetus for the book. And I know we'll get into that a little bit more later. But since then, I just kind of wrote down all the best responses from this public speaking activity, and I realized there were some themes and some trends and some real life affirming things that were happening that I did not expect. And then from that, it took on a life of its own. So over the years, I just kept doing it over and over and over again. When I got an answer that was pretty profound, they were all in a notebook, and then I put it all together. And here we are 26 now years later, and the world gets to read it.
Wow, that is amazing. This is really a labor of love that you've been doing over the years. Yeah. So I am just super honored that you're letting us share your baby with the world. So so that is amazing. And you answered this already a little bit, but I'm just seeing if there's anything else that you might want to add about the inspiration behind writing it.
Yeah, I think the inspiration is the kids. I mean, I say I'll always call them my kids, but I wanted to do something to memorialize and honor what was happening. I can't stress enough, Sarah, like you've been around a while too and had these wonderful relationships with your kids and colleagues, but something was happening. Something really powerful was happening in front of me. We did it every Friday, and the inspiration continued to grow when, I would get that reticent kid who was in the front of the room with her hair in front of her face and didn't want to say anything. And all of a sudden, she jumps in the hot seat and gets one of these really challenging questions, which I'll talk about in a second, and answers it with this, profound confidence. And the next thing you know, there's just a new vibe and new tenor in the class. It was easy for the kids to do it who were gregarious and who had something to say all the time. And they were just as powerful because it opened up discussion for everybody else. But just the coalescing of so many different kind of kids in the late 90s and early aughts that I just didn't expect. I thought it would be a one-off public speaking thing and an easy grade. And then it just took on a life of its own. So I was inspired by the kids. And I say that because, I mean, you're talking dozens and dozens and dozens of kids now I'm friends with, right? I have a Dave Matthews crew that travels together to go see him every year. And that's pretty much all former students. I play in the baseball league on Sundays with former students. So these people are my friends now. And I don't know what I would do without them. They've made my career what it is. So they're the inspiration ultimately for the book.
I love that. I love the fact that y'all stayed like so close knit over the years. Like that is amazing. The relationships that we build with our students, this is really like a love letter to your students. So
100%. It's a great way to, it is. And, again, I say all the time, if just my former students read it, I'm a happy man. If I can get it out to more people, which obviously is the goal, that's great. But right now, the outpouring of support for the book from those former students it's just been so emotional and so powerful.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. And I love how you were saying that it just kind of was a spur of the moment thing, and it just like got a foothold in in your class. That is so amazing. That's sometimes some of the best things just come from like
total accident. Yeah, fortunate accidents for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we can definitely tell your passion about this book. But why was it so important to you to write this book?
Yeah, there's a few things I think that are important about this question. I mean, I wanted to honor the stories. Kids were telling stories about love and loss, anger and pain and depression, but also really uplifting things like how much they love their grandparents or how much they can't wait to go to college and prove their parents wrong. Or they were just, these stories were so powerful that I wanted to honor them. And I knew that I couldn't do that individually every time someone sat in the hot seat, but over time, if I could put it together in a way that was accessible, those stories would live on forever. So there was that part of it too. There was a courage I wanted to honor too. I mean, again, you're talking about, I was young and I think accessible. So I think it made it a little easier, but I wasn't always young. I mean, I left the classroom, I was in my 30s and I was still getting these kind of answers from kids. So I wanted that there to be a continuum of like the early days when those kids were 5 years younger than me until the time when I left the classroom. And, selfishly, I wanted it just kind of a token for my career. I wanted to be able to have something that when it's all over, and frankly, it's not that far away now, I could look back on with fondness and emotion and in some cases sympathy and maybe try to reconnect with some of those kids that needed something in high school that might just need a reminder about how amazing they are as adults. I wanted something for my own kids, right? We just talked about my 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, right? So at some point they're going to probably think more about my career and wonder what they kind of have a sense now because they're older, but we can't go anywhere without seeing former students. I mean, this area that I live in is very compact, but I think it's important for them to see their dad, as a person who loved his career and loved his kids and his colleagues. And I think one more thing too, there's got to be novice teachers out there who are just looking for something to do to challenge their kids. And I think right now is a really good time, right? We're living in this really turbulent time in America and in education. So what better time to get kids talking than now? And with questions that are built in, that are sometimes in some ways challenging, in some ways they're layups for some kids. But that's all why all of that was important to me. But as I said, to start the show, I mean, it's the former students is the why.
Yeah, totally. And again, I love how you have like those connections that you can keep going back to and supporting them in their adult lives as well. Like
Yep.
that is super important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things that keeps coming up, Sarah, is like the kids who did it are reading the book and looking at the questions and answering them all again as adults and seeing the shift in there. It's true. I mean, think about what we were like at 21, 17. I mean, I shudder, right? And now I'm like, that question I can answer completely differently. And I don't even want to think about myself about what to answer that at 17. I didn't even think about that when I wrote the book. I was just thinking to be nostalgic, not like practical for those people now, which it's turned into be. So that's been a cool byproduct too.
Yeah, for sure. They can kind of monitor their growth,
Yeah, right. Yeah, or lack thereof.
Right. That part, exactly. And one thing that I really love about the book is that you put the questions in there so that other people can like actually use them with their students. So I think that that's like super applicable.
Yeah, and I think just like somebody called it like a workbook. It was a really cool way to put that because you can use it in any number of ways. I was actually in a hospital yesterday with my mom, and the attending nurse was a former student, right? So we were talking about this, and I thought to myself, I mean, you got a bunch of nurses who are kind of milling around waiting for something. If this were there behind the desk, they could just talk about it. You could have it at a campfire. You could have it at a class reunion. You could have it as a PD to start the year. I mean, the ways in which you can use the book and the questions are, again, far more reaching than I originally intended, which is wonderful. I love it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, so that kind of brings us to the audience. Like, who would be your target audience for this book?
Yeah, so the low hanging fruits, like the 1,500 kids that did it, right? Like I expect them to pick it up and reminisce about it, but it is much more than that, right? So I think if you think about how, like we just talked about, how the book can be used, it can be a great resource for teacher prep programs. In fact, I'm trying to get into some colleges out here in New Jersey to talk more about how it can end up on some syllabi for teacher prep programs in undergrad. I think high school, middle school teachers across the spectrum could use it, again, as almost as a time filler. Like, hey, if we get through this thing, we can do the hot seat. I think elementary, I did it when I first got the principal job. I did it with my fifth graders. I watered the questions down, and I have videos of them answering these questions as little guys. It could definitely be used in elementary school, within an age appropriate way. I think parents might want to use it with their kids. Like, I'm going to go to the Poconos. It's a long car ride. Let's pop out the hot seat and see who means more to you, mom or dad. Let's see what your biggest fear is. And I always say the best time to talk to your kids is in the car. So that could be used for it too. I think it could be a game night for friends, right? You're out at a winery or a brewery and you bust it open and you kind of find out more about each other. I think it could be used in so many different ways. And I think the EduMatch part of this is it's going to reach so many more people than just a little kind of cohort of kids who did it so many years ago.
Right. I totally hear you. Yeah, and I 100% agree. Like that list of questions is just fire,
Oh,
it's
thank you. Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to spark discussions,
Yep.
among and across all types of people, so families, students, things of
Yep.
that nature.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is awesome. So, what other resources do you suggest for readers? And also, if you could talk a little more about your first book as
Yeah,
well.
sure. Yeah, so
Yeah.
the first book came out 2019. I was really fortunate to be one of the early adopters in EduMatch. Sarah assigned me way back then, and that book's called Level Up Leadership, and it is a extended metaphor between the rise of the gaming industry and educational leadership. So, as a practical example, I talk about how when gaming first started, it was a joystick, right? You had one button, you can go up, down, left, and right. That should remind us of old school ed leadership, when there was an old man, right? Probably a man in an office waiting for something to need his attention. He was checking boxes. There wasn't a whole lot of movement or motivation or inspiration. But as time went on, as gaming evolved, we got this thing, and then we started putting headsets on. So too did educational leadership. And now people like you and I are talking in an ed leadership way in a call like this that never would have been fathomed when Pong came out. So in that book are just a slew of practical resources and ways to level up your educational leadership game. At the end of each chapter is 5 ready-to-use ideas or activities with your staff and your students. And it does follow a whole path from like Mario Brothers all the way up to right now. My son is an avid gamer. I was too when I was growing up, so he kind of helped me a little bit too with some of the gaming stuff. So that I was really proud of that book, and I was really happy to get it to the world. And I think a lot of people have used it in a PD, in a book club kind of way. But I'm over at briankulak.net. That's where you can find all my stuff. I'm going to start to actually put up more resources in conjunction with the hot seat coming out. A whole kind of cadre of public speaking activities I did in partnership with the hot seat, things I did as an ed leader. I've been published in ed journals and books for years now. I've presented across the country for ed leadership topics. And then I'm doing this Instagram live thing every Thursday night at 8 p.m. with a former student who was in the hot seat. It's been so fun and funny and exciting and reminiscent. So I have a lot of ideas about how to kind of keep that going with all kinds of people who just experienced the book for the first time. And as part of their website, I blog. I try to get on there at least once a week now, just with quick hitting 400 word. How can I use this while I'm drinking my coffee in my school day? So as much as I can possibly get out to the world about education. That's the goal.
For sure. Yeah. And I definitely want to echo that first book. When I saw it, when it came
I
like
remember.
across my
I
email,
remember. Yeah.
yeah, I was just like, oh, 'cause I'm also a gamer, so
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it really resonated with me. So check that out, and also check out the hot seat, which will be by the time you see this, then it will be ready for you to pick up your copy. Welcome to the hot seat, as it says, and you'll find it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, our website edumatchpublishing.com, and you can also get a bulk discount if you buy 10 or more copies. So this is perfect for book sales. You can just go to bit.ly/EduMatch bulk. So we are super excited for this to come out. And while we have your ear, then just a few things to put on your radar. We're going to have EduMatch Connect coming back. So you might know it as Tweet and Talk. So we did the first round last month and it went beautifully. So we're going to bring it back for digital citizenship on June 14th. So that's the day before Father's Day. So the link is on the screen. So events.edumatch.org/EduMatchConnect. And on the 17th, we have a webinar led by our Director of Partnerships and Outreach, Dr. JC Maslick, who will be sharing the best practices for acquiring grants. Right now, funding is a big question mark for a lot of schools and districts. So definitely check us out at the link on the screen. So events.edumatch.org/grants. And I'm reading it out loud for our podcast listeners. In addition, on the 26th, we have a repeat of the Not Leaving webinar. So why digital equity matters more than ever. You can find us at events.edumatch.org/not-leaving. And last but not least, well, almost last, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/groups /edumatch bam. All right. And once again, our website is edumatch.org. So we want to thank you all so much for joining. We want to thank Brian so much for all of his wisdom and his insight that he shared with us tonight and in the hot seat. So we're looking forward to that book officially hitting your bookshelf. So check it out, The Hot Seat. So thank you again, Brian.
Thank you, Sarah.
It's been great to chat with you.
You too. Have a wonderful weekend. I love you.
All right, you too. Love you too.
See ya.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.